Welcome everyone to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Tara. We talk about TV shows here. The year is 2022 and the name of the show is Babylon 5. This is season 4, episode 7. It's called Epiphanies. So full spoilers for the episode, and this is the first post Shadow War episode. So excited to delve in and see what we're going to be focusing on, at least to begin with. I mean, obviously, I think by the end of this episode, they actually start kind of like tiptoeing towards stuff from the future scenes with that cliffhanger. But we'll get to that when we get to it. We got Garibaldi to talk about. We got Psycho to talk about. We got President Clark. We got some Lita stuff to talk about, and we got probably the biggest showing so far in a single episode for the man, the myth, the legend that is Zach Allen. So much screen time this week.
Great episode.
And no Cole, so
great episode.
Perfectly imbalanced as everything should be. One particularly standout scene, and potentially some kind of weird new romance with him and Leah. We'll see.
I don't know if it's setting that up, but if they go that direction, then it's fine. I don't hate it.
I mean, her reaction to him saying "I'll come back with pizza" is it was sort of like, and it was a genuine olive branch, because she complained that no one ever came to see her for anything or asked her to go for dinner or anything like that. But her reaction when he offered was kind of like, I'm not going to say no, but like, I'm not, like, she didn't look like she was like, oh, the man of her dreams is like finally hitting on her.
It seemed like they were setting up that she needed a friend, someone who just treated her like a human again, and he was willing to step up and do that. Yes.
So we'll see how that progresses, but yeah, I guess we'll start with those. I feel this one's actually going to be tough to talk about, because normally I pick up a plot thread and I stick to it, and then I switch to the second plot thread. I feel like this one has a lot of interlinking stuff. All the things on the station.
I guess if you stick with the characters, then it should be easy enough.
All right, well, let's start with Lita then, since we kind of jumped straight to her. So she's actually still not filled up her quarters, because Zach comes by to escort her because Bester's around, so they need a telepath. Which is interesting, first of all, because I never even realised it until they started talking, but Lita and Bester, we've never seen them interact before this episode. You know, it was always Talia, and then it was I think Minbari telepaths were used when he showed up last season. So this is the first time that Lita and Bester, like, do they have a history? Turns out they do have a little bit of a history.
When he was the Psy Cop,
and she was in the academy or whatever, and he knows,
I guess he is still a Psy Cop, but he was part of the academy for like training or something.
Yes, he was lower down the ranks. She seems to have a secret from that time in her life that he knows about. He brings it up later. He is very fascinated that she is much more, because he really talks down about her. He's like, oh, come on,
she's a P5.
You brought a P5 to this table? Like, she wouldn't stop anything even if she wanted to. You're just embarrassing her, Sheridan. And there's that great scene where it's almost like a POV of his mind, like going to each person's head to see if he can like scan it. And it gets to her and she kind of like goes and just sort of snaps her head at him. And he's like, oh, jeez. Okay, she's scary now.
Yeah, because usually even Ivanova knows when she's being scanned.
Yeah. It's like the one thing she really can do, like, reliably, is knowing when she's being scanned, because she's not powerful enough to, like,
right. But Bester was able to go into her thoughts too, and then just move on over to the next one.
Yeah. And I guess that's just because he is that powerful. He's a P12, I think, was his rating, so he's up there. But so interesting dynamic that she's got a secret that he has on her that he's sort of dangling over her a little bit. She clearly does not like him, partly possibly because of that threat, but also just in general. And we find out that she's actually responsible for what happens in their main sort of mission to go to Zahadum this episode. But like I said, though, she's only just starting to fill up her quarters with stuff. She's still on a mattress on the floor, but she's got some boxes of items. And Zach thinks she's like just moving in or just moving out, and she's like, no, I just didn't have anything, and now I'm slowly starting to fill it up with things.
She said, like, I don't even know what to buy. Like, I just bought everything.
Yeah, I did like this scene quite a bit. for a few reasons. I think one, the chemistry is like that friendly awkward that Zach has with everyone, which I think feels natural. But I liked the idea that when she starts complaining about no one ever coming to see her unless they need her to scan someone or block some telepath or whatever, it kind of felt like, oh, this is the first time in the plot this season that it's kind of treating her like a regular cast member, because up until now, like, she's been around and she's been doing stuff, but we've been so busy with big plot up until now.
I mean, she was pivotal. Sorry, in the sorry, edit that out.
No,
she was pivotal in the fight against the shadows, and then later the Vorlons. But now that that's over, what's her role? So we need to see more of her and more of her personality, more of her, not so attached to the Vorlon side of things.
Yeah, it's the first chance to slow down and kind of like treat her and give her own little subplots and character beats that other characters usually get to have. And we've seen it with all the main cast before, but this is kind of our first chance to really do it with her. And, Zach kind of admits that everyone's kind of a little bit wary of her and keeps away because there's rumors that she was altered by the Vorlon. And we know this, we've seen...
People know.
We've seen the gills that come out. Obviously Bester this episode sees that she's had a boost in psychic ability, so there's and there's some truth to this, but it's nice to see her be more included and have her own little beats. The other big scene, of course, is after Zahadum explodes. More on that in a bit. Sheridan comes by and kind of like is put two and two together and says, hey, when you came to Zahadum before to find me, they detected that you were there, right? They sort of detected your telepathic signal. So it stands to reason that whatever device detected that might still be there. So it's almost like, if someone was powerful enough telepathically, they could like send that signal ahead, and that might cause, because they see ships evacuating, so someone was there, some allies of the shadows, set this off, set off a self-destruct effectively, and the planet goes boom. And he's upset that this was taken sort of behind his back and that this was not a consultation. He might have even agreed with it. He might have even agreed it was the best option, because it's true, maybe shadow technology falling into the hands of anyone is a bad thing, and perhaps that should just be the action to take. But although there was definitely a lot of personal vendetta with Bester. She
does admit that she has that, but she also admits that it could be that she just has some orders from the Vorlons just stored up there that she doesn't realize.
Oh, she's very careful to start off by saying hypothetically and then lists like 5 reasons why she might have done it.
Well, she doesn't seem sorry for it in any case.
Oh no, she is not one bit sorry that this happened.
No.
Because of course Bester wants to get technology there that might help fix his wife, because his wife, of course, was one of the telepaths that were transformed to pilot one of their ships.
It's hard to trust that that's his real reason. Like, I'm sure he does seem to like really love this woman and want her back, and maybe that's something he can use the technology for. But I mean, he works for the Psi Corps, which we don't trust, and it's powerful technology from a super advanced civilization. So I don't think his intentions were entirely true. That's
just to counter that a little bit. When he's talking to his wife, because he goes to the cryo sleep place and he's like just sort of chatting to her.
Looks like a morgue.
Yeah. He does, he has no reason to lie in that moment, right? Because he's on his own. And he does like admit to his wife that he made a choice to set up his fellow Psi Corps cops in the main plot. So at the very least, he is willing to put his own interests above Psi Corps in this respect. So I don't see...
But it was also very like mustache twirly in that scene where he was talking about like, I still have an ace in the hole.
Oh, that's Garibaldi. All right, come on. That's Garibaldi. That has to be Garibaldi.
That's what I'm assuming also. But it seemed very much like he had other plans for that technology also.
I mean, I could buy there's maybe more plans for it, and maybe he still will take it back to Psi Corps, but I still think that...
Or maybe he's going to run solo with it because he thinks he's the most powerful person.
Oh, maybe. Although he's very, Psi Corps' father, Psi Corps' mother, that whole speech he gives to Lita, which is interesting.
Yeah, but he wasn't part of the Bureau 13.
Yeah, but that wasn't all a Psi Corps.
Yeah. Okay.
because he even says something to that effect in this episode. He talks about how there's the shadows, like allies and influences, are still within Psychor, but that wasn't him. He wasn't part of that necessarily. So
right, which is why he teamed up with.
I wanted to say though there that that speech he gives later though about Psychor being mother and father, I think there's a nice dramatic touch there with the speech he then gives on his own, where he's like willingly betrayed them, and he even says that he's not sorry. He trained this squadron, that they were his people, and he just handed them over to be killed, and they trusted him, and he doesn't care because this is for his wife, and he cares more about her. So, like,
well, we do know that the bond between two psychics can be very intense, thanks to Talia's speech about Ironheart.
Yeah, I guess the point I'm making though is just either like how much he cares about his wife is just amplified by that speech he gives her about how much Psychor means to him, or how much of a hypocrite he is. Whatever way you want to read it, like, but there's definitely like a dramatic touch there from the contrast of those two speeches. So I think that's interesting. So
sure.
The main thing that he wants them to do though, because he basically he's there to tell them, because we see a scene with him earlier on with his superior, President Clark, what is afraid of Babylon 5. Babylon 5 is this noble good thing, and he's a corrupt piece of shit, and they're probably going to try and take him down at some point.
Honestly, I forgot President Clark was even a thing in this show.
I remembered him, but I mean, he just wasn't that. I mean, we had bigger fish to fry recently. Yeah. But he's, because this is one of the things I was speculating last time, is like, what is the reaction to this war and like the ending of it from Earth and all the people who were kind of like getting help from the shadows and were allied with them in some way. And that's, and in his case, because he's such a weasel, he's just scared and he wants to discredit Babylon 5. So because they mention early on that they're going to have all the different departments working independently without knowing what the other departments are doing. So, and the reason for that is because they're actually going to use a squadron of Psychops to kill a squadron of, whatever the regular space navy is, and
phase 2
blame it on Babylon 5 and say Babylon 5 killed a bunch of their own people. So very, very shady. This is what Bester tells them in exchange for going to Zahadum to like try and get the technology to help his wife. So they successfully show up and protect the squadron though. Babylon 5. Ivanova goes out personally with the squad, and this messes up the good plan. Word. Yeah, it messes up the plan, and now it's like, now President Clark has to like cover his trail and be like, oh, it's a huge misunderstanding. Something's went awry here. Like, we don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Plus, like the main squad guy is like, Babylon 5, but you're supposed to be the enemy.
That was a bit on the nose. I'll concur. That was a bit on the nose, but
it's all right.
Yeah. So that was the main. And there was little bits of snippets. Sheridan and Delenn are on the ship together. They have a moment where they kiss again. I'm sure you were thrilled
so
about
nice.
that. They also had a great moment
warm,
at the start.
Warm moment.
Everyone was celebrating the end of the war, and there was the flyby fireworks show outside the station, and there's like streamers everywhere. And Sheridan and Delenn are just like above everyone else is like down partying, like Franklin's like dancing like a moron, and we go up top, and Sheridan and Delenn like walk towards each other slowly as all this is going on beneath them.
It looks like prom. They're going for their slow dance. Prom king and queen.
I would say a little New Year's, actually. That's what it was making me think of. It looked like a New Year's party to me.
Yeah. Well, because everyone's old. Too old for prom. All the chaperones are dancing.
Don't say too old for prom. That's like... Do you know how many times I've seen that stupid Uncharted movie trailer, and the start of it is... Tom Holland says to... Or Mark Wahlberg says to Tom Holland, aren't you a little young to be bartender? And then Tom Holland goes, aren't you a little old for prom? So you just made me think of that.
Yes, I've been to the movie theater 3 times in like the last week. So yes, I have seen the trailer a lot.
Yeah, 3 times.
But it ends with a mustache, and he kind of looks like Sully.
In the trailer?
Mm-hmm.
Not in the trailer I saw.
Well, I guess it is a newer trailer, but yeah.
I don't care. He's still not Sully. Just giving him he's still Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg is not Victor Sullivan.
Oh, whatever. I mean, it looks like a fun movie.
It's like
it'll probably be a 6.
It's like 40% in Rotten Tomatoes, which is sadly exactly where I'd have predicted it. Anyway, so yeah, some sweet moments between them this episode.
Oh, I just want to say one thing. I like Mark Wahlberg. You may continue.
If I've not made it clear at this juncture, I would like to also add that I do not like Mark Wahlberg.
I just felt like someone should stand up for him.
He's filthy rich. No one needs to stand up for Mark Wahlberg.
I think he's fun to watch. Whatever. I don't want to go on this anymore. Go ahead.
So, yeah, we have to talk about Garibaldi though. Garibaldi has he has like a trigger scene. So I thought he was going to do some shady this episode, and then I was questioning. So someone sends him like a message, and it's just a bunch of bright colors, and it's like, oh, that's clearly meant to trigger something. And obviously, the first thing he does is erase the message.
Yeah, if you're epileptic, don't watch.
The first thing he does is erase the message, which is clearly part of the conditioning. But
yeah,
it left me wondering though, is like the decision he makes, which is to resign as security chief, is that because of this message, or is this something because he still feels like he's him for most of the episode. And the way that the way that Bester says, I've still got an ace in the hole and stuff, like, it still kind of sounds like whatever the main thing, the main drastic thing that they're going to have him do, it doesn't feel like it's been triggered yet.
No, so it seemed, I was questioning that as well, because, like, oh, something has activated in him, because he's still not admitted to anybody that something's gone wrong with him. Even though he has these flashbacks of being in a cell, talking to somebody, being conditioned, he gets his message and then he immediately resigns his post, which makes me think that, does he just have a feeling that something's wrong and that he's not in control and he wants to be out of any kind of position of power? Because like, what use is he going to be if he's not like, chief of security?
Yeah, there's probably other ways, but the two main things I thought here, the two possibilities that I considered was one, what you just said, is that he feels that something's not right, so he doesn't want to have that role, and he makes up a like, oh no, I want to like live my life, I want to go and start a family or something like whatever he says, and that's fine, right? And that's cool. That's a good character beat if that's the case. And then the other thing, which is also I think good in a strategic sense, is that it is part of the conditioning to make him make this choice, and the reason why it's triggered when it is because Bester wants him to not be the active head of security when he gets there, because it happens before he arrives. And I'm wondering if that's because, he thinks that whoever will replace him will be more susceptible or easier to probe or easier to manipulate or whatever, right?
Yeah, that could be. Or maybe just seeing Bester will activate something in Garibaldi.
Possibly. So if it is something that, I don't think this is the end game. This is just like, phase one, if to use the phrasing. This is phase one of whatever the Garibaldi plan is, I presume, if it is part of it. But
it's fine. I think there is an episode called Endgame in this season.
Oh, that surprised me. But at the same time, though, I do like the idea that he is consciously, as himself, made the choice that something's not quite right. I'm going to step down because I don't want to risk anything.
I mean, I kind of hope that's true, but I guess it would be a less entertaining episode when something does get triggered.
I mean, honestly, this is the beauty of it is I think both of them offer different good possibilities for stories, to go down. I mean, either way, we're going to have like them having to like Garibaldi is going to have to show some strength and like break his conditioning at some point, regardless if this was part of it or not.
Yeah,
so.
He's got to have the Frank Drebin moment.
Frank Drebin
talking the hot blonde lady down from shooting him.
That's where you went, Frank Drebin.
You don't think of the Naked Gun when you think? I mean, I guess you could think Manchurian Candidate or something, but
yeah. Well, Manchurian Candidate obviously doesn't have that much of a happy ending. It's definitely a bit more bittersweet. I feel like I'm hoping that Garibaldi's able to show more of like a great kind of like come out of it and like he's strong enough to fight it and like become himself again in some way, maybe with some help from those he's
Shakar
help with. Well, I did love this scene. Jakar, he's getting his eye tested with Franklin, so it establishes that he's on the station. He turned down a position of power because he doesn't want that, which we kind of saw, but like this is this idea that it's spreading to the other people. But he goes to see Garibaldi, and Garibaldi's really apologetic because Garibaldi's like, oh, it's my fault that he got captured because he came looking for me.
And now he's got no eye, and he looks intense.
But and you could sort of see it wasn't going to be that. It was going to be a hug.
Oh yeah,
like
I knew.
It was building up to Jakar's happy.
Not just a hug, but like a bear hug.
Yeah. And he's delighted, and it's like no, the universe. Like I was coming at the universe with a positive attitude, trying to do good, and I was rewarded, not in the way that I expected, but that's okay. I was still rewarded.
My people are free.
Yeah. So he thanks Garibaldi, and it's just very sweet. And of course, the other person Jakar runs into in this episode is one Londo.
I like that Londo hesitates. Like his first instinct is to run away, and then he goes, "I'm gonna face this."
I love that. Like the scene would be great anyway, but that moment of him like almost running away and then saying, "No, I'm going to face him," was the cherry. It was the cherry on top of that scene.
Well, he doesn't really need to run away from him anymore. Like they both, have resolved this thing. I mean, it is Londo's fault.
Yeah.
And it always will be.
Yeah, but he was good on his words.
They've made a deal, and he stuck to his word, and so they should be able to face each other. But Jakar basically says, "I don't want to see you ever again. Like you are not important to me anymore. Out of my life.
Yes,
we are ripping the Band-Aid off, cutting ties.
This was a bad relationship, and we've broken up. So we're just going to stay away from each other. I mean, and obviously
stay out of elevator number 4 because that's the one I use."
I love that we as the audience know that their paths are going to cross, and that one day they're going to like be closer. But for now, this makes sense. For now, this is like what feels right. But I do like as well that both of them on their own they're probably their happiest they've ever been. Like both Londo's in a good mood, the way he's like fast talking to people. Jakar's the happiest and nicest we've ever seen him. But when they looked at each other, it was like, no, this is Londo and Jakar again. It's like this is them.
Yeah. I do also love that Londo's not missing out on a good party, so he immediately goes to Babylon 5 once the war's over to celebrate.
Yeah, and apparently the council, because they want someone like who's not going to like be a psychopath and try to murder everyone, they give that like sort of helper dude like the interim like dictatorship.
Yeah, I thought he was just like a Mr. Stevens type.
I think he
the
is.
Caretaker.
I think that's the joke, is that they don't want a nut job. So like, okay, we're going to pick someone, but we're going to take longer to decide. So in the meantime, he can be acting emperor, which is pretty funny.
I'm surprised he didn't give it to Veer.
Veer's got more important stuff to do, I guess, right now.
He might not be there.
So. Yeah, who knows what he's doing right now? But Londo comes back, and so we have to go up this. The best scene in the episode, which is the Zach Allen giving the speech to the security team about customs and like checking people in, and he's interrupted first by Londo, which is a great interaction because I love Londo's whole spiel here about, you said that I couldn't come back to Babylon 5 unless it was over your dead body, and the Emperor also said that I couldn't leave Centauri Prime unless it was over his dead body. Well, I only have so much time to grant requests, so I'd already killed the Emperor, so I'll just have to owe you one, Mr. Like, all of it was just delightful. It was funny, and then Bester walks in, and at that point I'm like, okay, this is a really funny scene, just because Zach Allen's running into every character arriving in the station.
Yeah, I like that. Bester immediately shows up and proves that he is P12 by predicting the next obvious word that was going to come out of Zach's mouth. I believe the word you're looking for is door. That's
the joke, is that that's not even him using his telepathy. That's just, everyone's getting that. But
it's just a cold read.
Yes. And then, he cracks a joke, Zach. He's like, okay, I'm going to leave now and go talk to the captain because, like, the next little bit of second coming that walks through that door, and I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah. Instead, we get Elvis impersonators.
3 of them.
I guess that. I mean, they also must have heard there was a party.
Yes. Well, I think what I like about this is, one, we've talked about allusions to figures of religion in the show. So him casually mentioning the second coming is
of Elvis.
It's funny, but and relates to the show in a sort of jokey way. But then Elvis walks through, and it's like a pretty funny punchline. So,
right, because a lot of people think that Elvis is still alive.
Yes.
It's a big conspiracy theory.
Yes, and it's also just funnier because it's like 2262 now or whatever it is, and like Elvis is
2260, I think.
No. Must be 61 by now. Season 1 was 2258.
Okay. 62?
61.
Oh.
Wait, why are you more confused now?
We're
58.
in season 4.
Yeah, 58, 59, 60, 61.
Okay, but all right, so you're not including The Gathering, which was a year before.
That was in 2258. The entire season 1 was the year's 2258.
The Gathering took place a year before.
Sure.
It's canonical.
But that would have been 2257 then.
Okay, well, I was thinking when you said 2258 that would be the start.
No, because The Gallery never had the intro where he said it. So I don't know. I never heard that year. But season 1 was 2258 the whole time.
Well, we're both right.
Sinclair's voice saying the year is 2258 is never going to leave my brain, okay? So it's 2261 now. And people still love the king. They still love Elvis, apparently.
We'll see.
What, you think he's going to decline in popularity?
Yeah, probably.
I'm not. I have no like or disliking of Elvis. I'm just neutral on the music.
I'd say I'm Elvis neutral as well. I enjoy some Elvis hits.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
Yes, I have at least one uncle who's a big Elvis fan. I feel like most people probably have that.
I actually know someone who is an Elvis impersonator, or he was. I think he's retired now. But he used to work at Disneyland for a long time.
Is he your age or
older?
Oh,
there's a Disney Planet. I cheered.
Oh, I knew you'd like this. I knew you'd like this. Yeah, Garibaldi when he
says I'm going to take a 5-day pass to Disney Planet.
Well, he says the opposite. He says he doesn't want that. He's listed it in an example of things that he doesn't want to do. But,
he says it sarcastically, yeah.
Like,
but
yes, Disney Planet is a thing. Apparently, there's a whole planet somewhere. That is Disneyland.
I guess it's the obvious joke to make because there's Disneyland, Disney World, and at the time, I don't know if there were any other parks, but then this would be. Disney Planet.
To be honest, I'm making the joke that it's a whole planet. It doesn't actually have to be. They can call the park Disney Planet and it could just still be a park. But I like to think that since it's Babylon 5 that there's an entire little planet somewhere that's been bought by Disney.
Me too. I mean, by 2262, they probably 61 will have enough money.
61.
61. We're both right.
Wait, what?
Just get over it. We'll move on.
I don't even see how the sentence makes sense, never mind how you're right.
I'm just always right.
It's like saying, I don't know, it's like someone said, do you want a toast? And you go, 4.
Yeah, like 4 slices. Makes sense.
Okay, I suppose yes, technically that could work as an answer if you're really hungry. So yeah, interesting to see how Garibaldi goes. I also like the scene with Zach coming to speak to him because he's getting like codes and he tries to talk to him, and Zach's like, or Garibaldi's like, hey, look, people didn't want me to hire you, but I did, and I was right about you, so why can't I be right about me? Do you know what? This is the thing. Despite the fact that there's that inkling we have that this choice was influenced by some conditioning, like everything he says in this scene does sound very Garibaldi. It sounds genuine.
Yeah, totally. I that's why I'm not quite sure exactly where they're going to go with it. Like, is he still part of the big plan, or is he like just having this feeling and just acting for or against it? I'm not sure.
Well, no, he is still part of the big plan. I just don't know if this decision to resign is part of their plan, or if that's just something he's doing independently to try and fight whatever they're going to eventually make him do.
I just noticed that Lauren Sanchez is in this as the news anchor. She's the one that's dating Jeff Bezos right now.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Lauren Sanchez, that's Jeff Bezos' girlfriend.
Okay, yeah, but who? Okay, but in the context of the 90s, though, was she just an actress who happens to have a small role in this, or what?
Her IMDb credits are just like news person.
Is that because she's a news person in real life?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Because I know there's a couple of like news anchors in the UK who always get like little bit parts and things because there's
sure, like you'll see like Wolf Blitzer and stuff or
Yeah.
whatever on movies and stuff, but I don't know. I don't know if she would do Babylon 5. Maybe she was like a local newscaster at the time, but her credits all show like TV shows, and she's just a news person every time.
Okay. Fair enough. I did not know that. She was also in The Day After Tomorrow as a newscaster, which I'm only bringing up because we just reviewed Moonfall and Roland Emmerich's somewhat on the brain. Okay. But yes. But no, I enjoyed the scene with Zach and Garrett. I enjoyed Zach's scenes with everyone. When he shows back up with the pizza at the end.
He's great. He's a great character.
After Sheridan's chewed out Lita for maybe being sneaky, he comes in with his pizza and he's like, got half and half, and yeah.
You can't hurt his attitude.
No, you can't. And as someone who's not had a pizza in over 2 years now, I saw the pizza and went, it's not even a good looking pizza, but now I want pizza. Every time I see pizza, I want pizza now.
I mean, yeah, it's the world's most addictive food, I think, or at least most the food that people crave the most, I think, is pizza.
I think that's fair.
Something like that. It's on the top of one of those lists.
Maybe I'll need to start like because I dropped like drinking any type of soda, except I have one pack of Coke at Christmas. I get the glass bottles. Maybe I need to have a Christmas pizza once a year just to satisfy the urge.
Yeah, it's tough. Like when you don't have something for a long time, and then you can kind of think like the memory of it is better than when you like have it again. Like it's not as good as I remember. Like, did I just get a bad one, or did I romanticize it a bit? But it's pizza, so it'll probably be fine.
It's pizza. Like pizza's never going to be that disappointing. I mean, it can be bad, but if I'm only going to get one pizza a year, I'm going to get it from a reliable source. I'm not going to just try some new place. I'm like, no.
Well, sure, but that's, the memory of something can be better than what it actually is sometimes.
But yes. I know you don't approve with that suggestion.
No, cheese is disgusting.
I've not had cheese in 2.5 years. It's, things are going fine. Things are going fine. And I don't think one pizza a year would be too much of a betrayal of
your oath.
It wasn't really an oath. It's more of just I want to be healthier attitude.
Yeah. Good for you.
Okay, Tara approves of the one pizza a year. Everyone's heard it here on record.
Do what you want.
I just want to be guilt trip later, right? I'm just making sure it's on record. So what are we talking about now? Rob Londo. Londo's back. We mentioned most of his other scenes, I think, but we do have to mention when we go back to Centauri Prime at the end, because obviously there's a lot of speculation as to, okay, there's allies of the shadows. Who are they? Are they just running away and don't want to be caught?
Like dark forces of the shadows or something? It was some menacing title.
I mean, the title's like whatever. Like, sure, okay, they've got a title, but it doesn't really matter that much. But more to the idea though is like, are they just trying to lay low, or are they planning something? Are they doing actively? And this is something we said last time. We said, like, are there some shadows that stay behind, and that's how we get the future in Centauri Prime, or is it like allies that the shadows had that are going to like take over? And we just assumed it was the shadows, and the ending would certainly imply that first of all, the idea that there's a parasite of some kind that is controlling someone, right? That was something that we kind of knew was coming.
A little bit of body horror.
Well, a bit of body, because we see like an eye. It's like kind of gross and like yeah, it's kind of fun. So that's kind of neat. Some
kind of Stuart Gordon stuff going on.
So this is on the interim emperor. He's got this parasite on him, and he's like freaking out. He's waking up in a cold sweat, and this thing's on him. And I don't think it's a coincidence that it's right after I think we have a conversation about like the possible allies of the shadows and what they might be up to. Then we see this.
I assumed it was the same one.
Yeah.
The same species.
Yeah. Assuming there's only just one. I mean, there might be multiple, but certainly this is one of them, I would say. And we do know that there's a lot of shadow ships still presumably still kicking around, like hidden places. I don't know if they took them all with them when they left.
I don't know. It seemed like a pretty definitive thing that they were leaving.
Yeah, but did they take all of their ships with them? Like, did they intentionally go and dig up?
I guess maybe they left some of their tech behind.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so just some ships. I'm saying there's like, unless they were being sneaky and did leave some people behind. But even if they all left, like, I'm assuming they still have some ships lying around somewhere or whatever. Right,
because the shadow ships were buried before, right, on other planets.
Yeah, all over the place. That was like a big thing. Yeah. So, I suspect there's still some random ones here or there, kicking about, and maybe these allies of the shadows will eventually find them and use them. And hell, we still have like a storage locker on Babylon 5 full of potential pilots for such a ship, if people do find them. So, yeah, who knows? Maybe. But
maybe.
I enjoyed the episode. It was actually kind of refreshing to get like a quieter episode. You know,
I agree,
because it was like, you know, like 3 or 4 just. If anything, the whole season this far has been bombastic, just big things. It was actually kind of nice to be like, oh, we can slow down and just spend some time with these characters and have these smaller, quieter moments between Jakar and Londo, or between
I'm not really
Zach
expecting a lot of that in this last season. Especially, I mean, the comments have told us that, you know, JMS knew pretty early that this was supposed to be the last season, which is why things are kind of being moved along quickly. So I wasn't really expecting a slower episode.
Yeah, but it's not the last season. It's just to make that clear.
Well, no, but they, you know, he thought it was at this point.
No, but before that, you said this last season. I'm just clarifying. This is not the last season.
Right. Yeah. But he was told that he thought it was, so he's writing it like it's the last final season.
Yes, but it's not the last season. There's a season 5, right? Just in case anyone thinks we're confused. Okay.
I don't think anyone was confused by that.
The phrasing is important. Sometimes people nitpick at these things. Although, the one time we did learn, though, someone did put a helpful comment saying that they actually shot a season finale, thinking it was the series finale for the end of season 4, and then found out after that they were getting a season 5. So basically, that episode was put on ice or scrapped, and then they shot a new finale that could lead into what the 5th season is going to actually be. So what I don't know is how much of that original season 4 finale was then either, did they just use all of it at the end of season 5, or did they like use parts of it and integrate it into a new version of the finale, or was it just completely scrapped and they reshot a completely new thing? I have no idea. And don't, I mean, that's what you can tell us that. It's not a spoiler to say, but I would say be careful how you tell us that. Just, you know, like. Yeah,
I mean, even knowing that like makes me think of, makes me speculate some things that I don't really want to know.
yeah. So don't be too specific, but like, was the footage that was shot for the original season 4 finale just completely scrapped, or was some of it actually used?
I imagine it's just the ideas. Later. Yeah.
Well, it depends. It depends what some of it was.
Well, so many of the characters are gone, right? In season 5?
Yeah, but what if some of them come back in the finale because it was shot a year ago?
Maybe, I suppose.
Like, come on, that's a possibility here. Don't rule that out.
Okay. All right. I suppose.
It's not uncommon for shows to like somehow find a way to bring back like cast members who left for their final episode. A lot of TV shows do that. This would be the easy way of doing it. We already shot this.
Well, we can't do that. You know, Garibaldi's hair. We have to have hair consistency.
Oh, you're saying that if they try and use old footage of Garibaldi, the hair won't match up? It's not changed that much from last season to this season, has it?
Well, he seems to be going with the full, you know, shaved look now.
Yeah. He's had that since the start of season 3, though, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, is there anything else we're missing?
I don't think so. We were, like I said, this was actually hard to keep track of the conversations because everything did kind of connect and overlap. You know, for the most part. But
it's a nice episode. I liked it.
I enjoyed it too. It felt like something we've not had maybe since like mid-season 3. Use an episode like this that was kind of quieter, and we could just sort of like take in the seeds that were being planted for where we're going with stuff, rather than, you know, big bombast. And obviously the big bombastic stuff's great. It's, you know, it was exhilarating, but You do need both. You need the ups and downs. You need the swings and roundabouts. So that's good stuff. So yeah, let us know what you think of this episode in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Ding the bell for notifications. It does help out us a lot on YouTube, so please hit the buttons. And of course, you can support us financially over at Patreon, can't you, Tara?
That's right, Peter. If you enjoy our reviews, please check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MildFuzzTV. And if you donate as little as $1 per month, you'll get access to bonus episodes for other shows we do. And if you donate $5 per month, you will get access to these Babylon 5 reviews 6 days early. And some other shows you get early as well. And all sorts of bonuses. So head on over and check that out. Thank you.
Yeah, but that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching Babylon 5. Just don't give away the home world.